By golly, am I sore and exhausted. We had two soccer games this week back to back on Wednesday and Thursday, and at 40, my body just doesn't have the same recovery as when I was 20. So I am sore. I can feel every bone in my body, and the games are late at night, so I didn't even get as much sleep as I normally do. So I am utterly exhausted. But you know what? I am happy. I am thrilled to be here, not only because I get to share a message with you today, but because life is beautiful and I am choosing to be happy. I am absolutely thrilled that I get the opportunity to still play soccer with a fantastic team. And that's just something I am truly grateful for today. Welcome back to In Search of 42. My name is, of course, Felix Becker, and I am your very own success coach on this journey we call life. So the topic I want to discuss with you today is something that, is not my idea. Other people have talked about this before, and other people will continue to talk about this concept. It is something that is very simple to say, but not simple to implement in your own life. And I come at this from my own personal experience. I've heard this said many, many times before, but it took me a lot of time to actually truly understand it in a way that I was able to embody it and embrace it and implement it in my own life. And so this message bears repeating because it is an important message for you and for anyone else who's still out there who doesn't truly understand this concept and the very depths to which it gets to. The concept is very simple. Like I said, it's easy to say, and it's quite simply, you can choose to be happy. Happiness is a choice. It is entirely within your control. See, it's very simple to say. Now I want you to go around and, actually start implementing it. Start taking action. Do something about it. And the first question you're obviously going to ask is, how do I actually do that? And I don't think that's really how this works. See, a lot of us have this dependence on some kind of external stimulus for our happiness. We're waiting on something to happen to make us happy. And I understand this. That's how I was raised. I was raised in a very pessimistic household, and it was always about, well, if this, then that, right? If this happens, then I will be happy. And that's how I lived my life for the longest time. When I graduate high school, I will be happy. When I graduate college, I will be happy. When I graduate medical school, then I'll be happy. When I finish my surgical residency, then I'll be happy. No, it's not how this works. You cannot depend on an external stimulus because that external stimulus may never happen. If only I won $1 million in a lottery, then I will be happy. Not only to take the point away that, most people who win $1 million in the lottery end up broke a year later, but that's besides the point. So, again, happiness is a choice. It is not an easy choice, and it will take some work and some time and some practice to start bringing this into your life. But it is possible. You can choose to be happy, or you can choose not to be. That is entirely your choice. You should never depend on an external stimulus to provide happiness to you. So let me give you a few examples here to bring this point home. You might say, oh, if my boss was different, my job would be much better. If I won $1 million in the lottery, my life would be better, right? Oh, if only I could drive that car over there, I would be so much happier. In my own life, I'm divorced. My children live in a divided household. During the week, they spend their time with mom, and on weekends, they spend their time with me. And so during the week, I get lots of messages from my kids saying, oh man, I miss you, daddy. I wish we could spend time together. I wish you were here. What can those kids actually do about that? Nothing, right? They're not old enough to drive yet. They're not old enough to have a car and drive over to my place and spend time with me. My stepdaughter, too, the other day, she was sitting on the couch in tears, sad, because she was missing her dad. Now, again, I am not here to discount or discredit your feelings and emotions. They're real. They belong to you. They're part of you. They are what makes us human. What I'm trying to get at is how you respond to those situations. See, if you just react, oh, the world is this, the world is that, if only this, if only that, you're reacting and you're bringing about negative emotions. What if instead you chose to respond to the situation that is appropriate, and you chose to look at the positivity in any given situation instead of the negativity? Now, this is not easy, like I said, and it comes from a negativity bias that we all have. From an evolutionary standpoint, that negativity bias that makes us look at the world in a negative lens was a survival mechanism, right? Because there's things out there in the world that was trying to harm us and hurt us and eat us and kill us. But in today's modern world, those external stimuli no longer exist. We still have that negativity bias towards the world, though, because we are afraid that something might hurt us and harm us and kill us and want to eat us. That's realistically not the case anymore. And so we have to make the conscious effort and put in the work and put in the energy to change the way we look at the world, to change how we respond to all these events that are happening in our lives. A few weeks ago, I shared a podcast episode with you on see something, do something. If you see a problem, fix it. Come up with a solution and start fixing the problem. Because if you don't, the problem will still be there. And with it, your negative feelings, your negative emotions. You're still going to be mad and sad and angry at the world or that problem because the problem hasn't gone away. So if you see a problem, do something about it. Now, there are some things that are outside of your control. I get that. Realistically, the only thing we have control over in this life is ourselves. How we act, how we behave, how we present ourselves, how we think. And so in those situations where you have no control over the problem itself, you still have control over yourself. That's where happiness can come from. Because instead of reacting to the problem, that situation that is making you sad and mad and angry at the world, instead, look at whatever little bit of positivity might be able to come out of that situation and focus on that instead. Again, the words are easy to say. Happiness is your choice. But to actually implement that into practice is not. Another drastic example would be the recent passing of my brother. Now you might say, that's a tragic event. How do you find any positivity in that? And you're absolutely right. It is really hard to find the positivity in that. And I would say as little as 2 years ago, I might not have been able to. But even though I am still processing that grief for myself, I am looking at the situation as a way of providing hope for someone else. Providing an optimistic outlook that life does not have to be this way for someone else. There is so much untapped and unfulfilled potential out there in the world, and we can use my brother's story as a jumping board to make the change in other people's lives. That is something positive I can look at. That is something positive you can look at in your own life. Like I said, easy words to say, not easy to implement. It takes practice, it takes time, it takes dedication, it takes energy to change your negative mindset. That is your default, that's your basis for life, to a positive outlook on life. Now, one of the first exercises that I would recommend to you is an exercise that I have recommended to you before on this podcast. It's part of my Phoenix program. It is stuff I've talked about on social media, and it's something that I started implementing in my own life some time ago, and it has profoundly changed my life, my outlook, and the way I perceive the world and what I can do about it. It's an exercise that will only take you 1 minute a day. 1 minute, one whole minute, 60 seconds. That's all it takes. So you need to build the habit of this. Make sure you set a reminder on your phone, set an alarm so you don't forget. And then you want to spend a whole minute, the full 60 seconds at the very minimum. You can take more time if you want, but you want to spend at least 1 minute every day to start thinking about one thing in your life, however little this is, that you can be grateful for. Don't overcomplicate this. Find one little thing that is working for you in your life. It could be something as simple as having running hot water at your house. The pantry is stocked. You have a roof over your head. You have a comfortable bed to sleep in at night, right? Find something simple to start with. Don't overcomplicate this. And now think about that for 1 whole minute and nothing else. Think about that one thing and why you are grateful to have that one thing in your life. What would life be like if you didn't have that one thing? Over time, you will start to recognize these little things that are actually working for you in your life more easily. At first, it takes effort, just like going to the gym, right? The first time you go to the gym and you start picking up weights, they seem heavy. You don't really know what the motions are. It's awkward. But over time, you develop a routine, you develop a habit. It's easier to get back into the gym. It's the same thing here. It takes exercise, it takes practice, it takes dedication, it takes energy. You have to actively think about one thing every day for 1 whole minute that you are grateful to have in your life. Could be a person as well, whether it's your partner, family, friends, your children, whatever. Something that you can think about that you are truly grateful to have in your life. Over time, you will be training your brain to look more for those positive things in your life. And over time, you will start to develop a more positive outlook on things. And over time, you will start to find the positive things in every situation. This doesn't come overnight. This takes a conscious effort. And it takes you to realize that you have control over your own life. You are the captain of your own ship. No one else's. Don't let the outside world influence you. The outside world has their own agenda. Every person out there has their own agenda, as should you. So figure out the things that you can be grateful for. Start building the habit of spending 1 minute every day to think about that one thing every day that you're truly grateful for. And you will find, after probably only about 2 or 3 weeks, that you will develop a habit of looking for all the little things that are working for you. And you will start to look at situations as what is actually good in the situation. So again, coming back to my daughters, right? What can they be grateful for in that moment when they're missing dad? While they're still with mom, they're in a loving household. They have a roof over their head. They have food. They have toys, books, TV, whatever, right? There are all these little things that are actually working in their favor. But instead, they're trying to ignore that and focus on the negative. And I don't want you to do the same thing. I've had that same conversation with my daughters, and I have that same conversation with my daughters almost every week. Because even though the words are easier to say, it is not an easy concept to wrap your head around that and really understand it to a level that you can embody it and embrace it and start utilizing it to your advantage in this life. But happiness is a choice, and you can choose to be happy in any situation in life. Or you can choose to react and let the negative emotions and the world instead control you. And I don't want that for you. I want you to be in full control over your own life. That's where a great coach will come in your own life, right? A great coach will help you see those positive things, will help you develop those habits, and will help you become the captain of your own ship again. Don't let external stimuli control you. Don't let the external world dictate how you should live your life. That should be your choice. Now, as before, if you like this kind of stuff on this podcast, please like, rate, and review, share, subscribe, whatever. Do all those things because that little bit on your end makes me happy. Why? Because it helps me reach more people like you who should hear this message. And the more people I can reach, the more people I can help. That is your part in spreading this message to everyone else out there. Let's make the world a happier place because that is entirely within our control. Let's all choose to be happy together and look at the positive things that are happening in our lives instead of the negative, reacting in a negative way. The other part of that is, of course, that we know that happier people, people with a more positive outlook on life, have a healthier life and they live longer. If you don't think that's a good thing, then I don't know that I can help you. Thanks for tuning in.